I'm going to make America healthier than other countries in the world right now.
Will you guarantee do what every other major country does? It's a simple question, Bobby.
And by the way, Bernie, the problem of corruption is not just in the federal agencies, it's in Congress too. Almost all the members of this panel are accepting, including yourself, are accepting millions of dollars from the pharmaceutical and protecting their interests.
Oh, I thought that would come. No. I ran for president like you. I got millions and millions of contributions. They did not come from the executives, not one nickel of PAC money from the pharmaceutical industry. They came from workers.
Let us investigate.
2020, you were the single largest
because I had
receiver of pharmaceutical money.
Contributions from workers all over this country. Workers,
you were the
not a nickel from corporate
Bernie,
tax.
you were the single largest acceptor of pharmaceutical dollars.
No, from workers in
1.5 million.
Yeah, out of 200 million. All right, but you have not answered. Last question.
Holy smokes, that was too close.
You have not answered either, so let us investigate. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. If you don't believe me, there's a site called Open Secret where anybody in Congress, when they get money or whatever, they have to put it online. And because it's so much information, they will do the collection, the list, show you all the numbers, and you can come to your conclusion. Because Bernie says this, how he makes his money, how he got 3 houses.
Now, how did I get the money? You're right. I wrote 2 best-selling books, including this book on capitalism. It was New York Times bestseller for a while. And also another book was a youth book. And I make, $175,000 a year. And that's more or less how I became the zillionaire that I am.
Hey man, maybe I have the facts wrong, but I'm still allowed to call it suspicious, especially when you have a specific way to go after people for specific things.
Very specific questions. Do you believe and will you insist that Medicare continue to negotiate prices with the pharmaceutical industry so we can substantially lower prescription drug costs in America?
President Trump has made it very clear to me that he wants to negotiate.
Negotiate is a big word, Bobby. It's a big word.
It's the word you just used, Senator.
Yeah, but no, I use defend a particular law. And will you insist that Medicare continue to negotiate? Liar! You have started a group called the Children's Health Defense. You're the originator. Right now, as I understand it, on their website, they are selling what's called onesies. These are little things, clothing for babies. One of them is titled Unfaxed, Unafraid. Next one, and they're sold for $26 a piece, by the way.
Really? What'd you sell your book for? What'd you sell your book for that made you $1 million? What'd you sell that for? So anybody who sells anything, it's nefarious, right? Even a nonprofit organization, a legit nonprofit organization, selling something to fund their nonprofitness and their advocacy for children, somehow Bernie Sanders makes that out to be a bad thing. But it wasn't a bad thing how much did you sell your book for? I'm gonna guess the hardcover was at least $30.
Now you're coming before this committee and you say you're pro-vaccine. Just want to ask some questions.
So this is Bernie Sanders. If he looks evil, it's because he's doing evil right now. Bernie Sanders willfully does the bidding of the military-industrial complex, Wall Street, and now Big Pharma. And he's attacking the Children's Health Defense Organization. He's not upset that Big Pharma can't be sued for damaging a child. He's not upset at that. He's upset that the organization that stands up for children against Big Pharma sells something to help them fund their advocacy against Big Pharma. That's what oh my God. And he's sitting right next to that piece of garbage, Elizabeth Warren. This is what Biden warned us against. They're doing the bidding of the oligarchy right in front of your face. And they're doing it indignantly, like only a corrupt politician could do. I'm upset about onesies. Oh my God, they're selling onesies. They're selling onesies. Somebody call the cops. I'm embarrassed I ever supported that guy. You know what? I supported his ideas at the time, which he's abandoned all of them as he now shills for Big Pharma and the oligarchy, which he's been doing nonstop since Biden got elected.
Venga, dilo. Remember to subscribe.
¿Por qué?
And if anybody comes tell me, hey, he's not getting money from them. I asked ChatGPT. I did too. I asked ChatGPT. He said he never got any money. Cool. Can I still be suspicious he's the person that got the most money from specific places that we don't know exactly where, and he's so passionate about certain things? I should be able to ask questions, right?
The dynamic is much more like the corrupt versus the not corrupt. Liars versus honesty. That's the dynamic much more than it is left versus right. And when it really matters, okay, and it comes down to it, and somebody like Bobby Kennedy is a threat to power, and you see literally, quite literally here, the powerful coalescing around keeping this threat to power out, right? The senators keeping out the dissident potential health department secretary. When it matters, where's Bernie Sanders? He's on the side of power, being a fucking blowhard, giving this bullshit speech, trying to make Bobby Kennedy look bad. That's where Bernie Sanders falls down when it matters, as always. As always. The guy LARPs as a representative of the people. And whenever it comes down to it, when it really matters, he falls in line with power. Just like when he endorsed Hillary Clinton at the DNC in 2016. You know? He had this huge movement, this mass movement of people who hated big banks and hated the billionaire class rigging the system in their favor and hated the forever wars. And he got them to support Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Bopolaki neck, man. Don't make me speak my native language.
You know, the person who gives speeches for $500,000 to big bankers and tells them in those speeches, don't worry about what I'm saying publicly. I say one thing publicly, but I say a different thing privately to you.
Hypocrisy, my friend.
Now, in that moment, when it really mattered, look at what the Libertarian Party just did with Donald Trump. We got Ross Ulbricht freed because, look, we represented a voting bloc, and he wanted to court us, and he knew this was a thing that we wanted. So we were able to get a concession out of him in exchange for our support. You know, like it or no, don't like it, that's politics. Bernie Sanders had tens of millions of Democratic voters in the Democratic primary. And then Hillary Clinton and the DNC cheated him out of it. And this came out. The WikiLeaks dump had come out by the Democratic National Convention. They knew that Hillary Clinton and the DNC had cheated against Bernie Sanders, and he had so many chips. He could have sat there and said, like, well, you know what? I'm taking my voters and walking, and we will cost you this election because we don't believe in people who, you know, we hate the big bankers and the wars and the powerful and all this shit. Or he could have at least extracted some serious concessions. I mean, if we could get Ross Ulbricht free, he could have gotten almost any damn policy promise he wanted to. And what did he do? He got none of that.
Gente nanki te quiere, no esta bestia. Bestia.
And just told all his supporters to go support Hillary Clinton.
That's a damn shame.
When it comes down to it, Bernie Sanders is not a dissident. He's always on the side of power. Screw that guy.
So now you have an idea why people distrust this whole situation. But in other news, there was a plane and a helicopter crash.
The American Airlines plane can be seen flying towards the airport before the two collide, causing a mid-air explosion and fall into the river.
And then Trump said this: the airplane was on a perfect and routine line of approach to the airport. The helicopter was going straight at the airplane for an extended period of time. It is a clear night. The lights on the plane were blazing. Why didn't the helicopter go up or down or turn? Which is weird. Why didn't the control tower tell the helicopter what to do instead of asking if they saw the plane? Makes no sense. It's clear you should be able... No, get out. You're flying. You can see at the same level. Do what you have to do. You're not gonna move until you see a bad guy. You just don't go to the bad neighborhood if you have a chance. It makes sense. This is a bad situation that looks like it should have been prevented. Not good.
But remember, Pat 2.5, which is up here, the helicopter at the middle of your screen, they've already said we accept responsibility for visual separation.
American 16, turn to 1 star 32, turn 14, duck 25, traffic 2 mile left base runway 33, no delay, runway 15 for immediate
There's
takeoff.
American to
Number
take
1,
off.
clear for takeoff, American 1630.
Here it comes.
25, yeah, 0 in flight.
Now the tower is seeing what's happening, and they're saying, do you have the CRJ in sight? Because you guys are getting kind of close. And the Pat 2.5, the helicopter, says once again, yeah, and I'm asking for visual separation. Okay, the responsibility is on you then.
Pat 2.5, pass line is CRJ.
This club has a aircraft in sight, request visual separation.
Okay, so Pat 2.5 says, has the aircraft in sight, request visual separation. I don't think they had these guys in sight. I think they had the airplane behind them in sight. That's why this is such a tragedy.
Now, he already was talking that the FAA was doing wild things.
To put diversity into the FAA's program. Then another article, the Federal Aviation Administration, this was before I got to office, recently, second term. The FAA is actively recruiting workers who suffer severe intellectual disabilities, psychiatric problems, and other mental and physical conditions under a diversity and inclusion hiring initiative spelled out on the agency's website. Can you imagine? These are people that are, I mean, actually their lives are shortened because of the stress that they have. Brilliant people have to be in those positions, and their lives are actually shortened, very substantially shortened because of the stress, where you have many, many planes coming into one target.
Ladies and gentlemen, inclusion is a beautiful thing, but I don't understand it when it becomes a dangerous thing, because it's a dangerous job, a very stressful job. You want to include people that have issues? No, you have to be perfect if you're going to manage lives, right?
Continuity of government mission?
I don't know what that refers to, but they were practicing. They do that. They call it practicing, and and that's something that should be done. It's only continuity in the sense that we want to have very good people, and that has to be in continuity, and that's what they refer to. But it was basically practice, and it was a practice that worked out very, very bad.
Also said that the Black Hawk was flying too high by a lot. It was far above the 200-foot limit. That's not really too complicated to understand, is it? Like, it makes sense. I believe, from what I understand, if you're flying a helicopter, there's a cap on how high you have to fly. I don't want to make a movie.
Representing Mountain State's legal foundation as part of a class action on behalf of 900 plus would-be air traffic controllers. And so we brought this suit based on the FAA's change in its hiring practices. So it used to be that they would score a pre-employment test and it would be based on merit. And all of our clients passed with flying colors. Many of them passed with 100% on this test. And the FAA decided that the pool of air traffic controller applicants was too white. And so they flushed that initial test and they adopted a biographical assessment, which you can already hear as an ominous term for a air traffic controller test. And unfortunately, our clients didn't pass that. And we allege that the FAA changed the test in order to gerrymander the racial pool. Representing Mountain State.
I'm not even calling DEI, but if it's I'm not even calling DEI, but if it's normal that most people that actually kind of pass this test usually do with flying colors for the safety of people's life. I don't care if you say it's too white. At least say they're just too good.
Families of the victims of the plane crash.
I don't want to comment on that.
Do you have a plan to go visit the site or meet with any of the
I have a
first
plan
responders?
to visit, not the site, because you tell me, what's the site? The water?
Or to meet
Want
with
me
the
to go
first
swimming?
responders down there?
I don't have a plan to do that, but I will be meeting with some people that were very badly hurt with their family member, obviously, but I'll be meeting with some of the families, yeah.
I find it odd that some people were getting angry at Trump, like how can you vote for this guy? And I'm like, maybe he just doesn't want a photo op as if he care. Just like many people keep telling me, I don't care for your prayers when something bad happens. You want action, right?
You know, I mean, they asked them a question today, and I'm sure if you're of the type of person who just always hates the one team and loves what the other one does, they asked them a question about the crash. And they said, will you visit the crash site? Now, every other politician would go, of course, it was a tragedy. And he went, it's the water. What do you want me to do, swim there? You know? And I was like, exactly, fuck right. You're exactly right. It's a stupid question, and you got just the answer you deserve.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to finish this with a quote or a joke. I just want to say, The only reason these things keeps happening is because we keep focusing on the wrong question.
Don't get me wrong, ako sa kita bong. Puta fire na may blonde kush hash purple skunk criollo colombici jam jam turlo kita verdeta welcome.